face. After doing the muscles of the face, now comes the nerve supply. Origin, insertion, action we have done. Now comes the nerve supply of the face. So in the facial nerve, the question will come, describe the extracranial course of the facial nerve. Extracranial course. So after doing origin, insertion, action, now nerve supply. So nerve supply of the facial muscle is the seventh nerve. And in order to supply the muscles of the face, it has to come out of the brain, out of the skull. And when it comes out of the skull to reach the muscles of the face, it is called extracranial course. Before it is in the skull, that is called the intracranial. So when a question of the extracranial comes, don't describe the intracranial, they are wastage of the time. Because the examiner has already said that only he wants extracranial course, that when it comes out of the skull. So in the extracranial course, you have to write down the course. First is the introduction. Introduction means facial nerve is the seventh nerve. It is made to supply the muscles of the face. It is a mixed nerve, both sensory and the motor component. So these 3-4 lines you have to write down, the vague idea. Nothing is clear. This is how to attempt any question. Introduction, 3-4 lines. Almost 1/3 of the page you have to fill. Then come the proper course or its branches. So regarding the course, dash or number you can count. So in the extracranial course, it comes out of the stylomastoid foramen. Stylomastoid foramen. So it lies, this is the styloid process, and this is the mastoid process. So here lies a hole that is called the stylomastoid foramen. So it comes out of it, and when it comes out, immediately 3 muscles are waiting around the stylomastoid foramen for the facial nerve to come out and give them their motor supply. So immediately after coming from the stylomastoid foramen, it gives a posterior auricular branch. Posterior auricular branch. Posterior means backside, auricle means ear. So this nerve runs behind the ear, and 3 muscles which are waiting for their nerve supply. One is the taking origin from the lateral 2/3 of the highest nuchal line. So this muscle is waiting for its nerve supply. Highest nuchal line. And which is this muscle? Which is taking from lateral 2/3 of the highest nuchal line. What is the name of this muscle? Occipitalis belli of the fronto-occipitalis muscle of scalp is waiting. Another muscle is taking origin from medial surface of the mastoid process. Medial surface of mastoid process, a muscle is taking origin. Which is this muscle? Which is this muscle taken origin from the medial surface of mastoid process? Which belly? So posterior belly of digastric, it has got an intermediate tendon, and this intermediate tendon is held by a pulley-like ligament, which is the part of stylohyoid ligament, which forms a pulley. Stylohyoid ligament is attached to the lesser cornu of which bone? Hyoid bone. This is the hyoid bone of the neck. So this is the anterior belly. Anterior belly take origin from which part of the mandible? There is a fossa, digastric fossa. This is for anterior belly. The insertion is intermediate. Tendon is intermediate, which is held. And third muscle is waiting, which is taking origin from styloid process. Come and parallel with the ligament inserted on lesser cornu. Same name of the muscle, same name of ligament. Stylohyoid. So post-auricular branch of the facial nerve supplies three muscles: occipitalis belly, then posterior belly of the digastric, and stylohyoid ligament. So three muscles, three nerve supply. So this is how the nerve supply. After that, this nerve, which was vertical, now becomes horizontal. Now this nerve runs a horizontal course and touches the lateral surface of the styloid process, lateral to the styloid process, the bony area, lateral to the styloid process. Then next step, now here comes the a triangular gland. And which is this gland? Having 5 centimeter long duct. This gland is the, now this facial nerve will enter into the posteromedial surface of the parotid gland. Posteromedial surface of the parotid gland. That is important, posteromedial, which lies behind the posterior border of ramus of mandible. Posteromedial surface. Here it lies superficial to retromandibular vein and external carotid artery. Superficial to external carotid artery and retromandibular vein. Or in other words, retromandibular vein and the artery lies deep to it. And here in the posteromedial surface of the parotid gland, this nerve divided into two main branches. Two main branches in the substance of the gland. Name of these branches they are, one is called temporofacial, and second branch name is the cervicofacial. Cervicofacial in the substance, two main branches. One is temporofacial, other is the cervicofacial. Dotted means it is in the substance of the gland. and here it lies as a bread and butter. So it lies deep and superficial part of the gland, or the nerve divides the gland into superficial part and deep as the two bread slices, the upper one and lower one bread, and in between there is a jam or the butter is there. So butter is facial nerve and upper and lower bread piece is the superficial and deep part of the gland. So that is the anatomical position of the facial nerve in the parotid gland. And in this divided into two branches, temporofacial and cervicofacial. Temporofacial, as name suggests, it will go towards the temporal part of the bone. So it divided into two branches. One is the temporal branch and other is the zygomatic branch. So further divided. So this nerve that is called temporofacial runs obliquely upward and forward and comes out of the anterior border of the gland. Anterior border of the gland, and again muscles are waiting. Which muscle is waiting? Of the scalp. Which belly? Frontalis belly is waiting. So it will supply the one branch goes to the frontalis muscle. And so this branch is temporal branch. Then this muscle will also supply the muscle of the anger. And which is this muscle of anger? What is the name of the muscle? Which shows the vertical lines on the forehead. These vertical lines of the forehead is made by which muscle? Which muscle? You have to mention the name of the muscle supplied by temporal branch. Number one is the frontalis belly. Second muscle is vertical corrugator supercilii muscle. It supplies. Third muscle it is supplying. Around the eye there is a circular muscle. Orbicularis oculi. But not whole of the muscle, only the upper part. That is important. The upper part of the orbicularis oculi muscle is supplied. Now the second branch is the zygomatic branch. Now the zygomatic branch, it runs over the zygomatic bone and it supplies the lower half of the orbicularis oculi. So orbicularis is having nose. So that is the how the zygomatic branch will supply the lower half of the orbicularis oculi. So this is how to attempt the question. Every branch you have to trace and you have to give the course and which muscle supplies it, then you get the full marks. Only just mentioning the name of the nerve is not necessary. Now the second branch is the zygomatic branch, it supplies this. So the temporofacial has got two branches, temporal branch and zygomatic branch. Now come the cervicofacial branch. So cervicofacial branch, it has got divided into three branches. One is called the buccal branch. Second is marginal mandibular branch. Third branch is the cervical branch. So that you have to remember the three branches name. So names are suggestive where they are going. Buccal means around the mouth. Buccal cavity, the oral cavity. So muscle around it with the. So the buccal branch comes out of the anterior border of the parotid gland, and it divided into two branches, superficial and deep. Superficial branch and a deep branch. The superficial branch, it runs over the zygomatic bone and supplies the procerus. Procerus is the part of frontalis belly muscle of the scalp, which is inserted on the root of the nose. So it supplies, superficial branch supplies procerus. Or in other words, the frontalis belly. Now the deep branch. Deep branch of the fascia, this buccal branch divided into two branches, upper buccal and lower buccal. This is the deep branch. It divided into upper buccal and lower buccal. This is about the buccal branch. Upper buccal and lower buccal. The upper buccal nerve supplies which muscles? Number one, nasalis, the muscle of the nose. Number one, nasalis muscle. Then it supplies the levator labii superioris alak nasal, this muscle. The longest name of the human muscle it supplies. Then it supplies the zygomaticus minor and zygomaticus major, laughing muscle and smiling muscle. Zygomaticus minor is a smiling muscle and zygomaticus major is a laughing muscle. So these muscles you have to mention supplied by the upper buccal branch. Number one, nasalis. Number two, levator labii superioris alak nasal muscle. Third, zygomaticus minor and zygomaticus major. So it runs above the parotid duct. The lower will be below the. And it also supplies the levator labii superioris muscle. Then the lower buccal branch, it runs below the parotid duct, and this supplies the orbicularis oris muscle and the buccinator muscle. And the buccinator muscle. Lower buccal supplies the number two muscles, orbicularis oris and the buccinator muscle. So that is how to write about this. Then comes the marginal mandibular branch. This marginal mandibular branch is the branch of the cervicofacial. It arises in the anterior triangle of the neck. Then it goes into the face. So this branch arises from the parotid gland in the anterior triangle below the mandible. Then it enters into the face just anterior to masseter, anterior border of the masseter muscle. And we know anterior border of the masseter muscle is related to facial vein and a tortuous facial artery, anterior border of the masseter, muscle of mastication. So it runs over the anterior border of the masseter muscle, and here it crosses the facial nerve and facial vein and facial artery superficially. It runs over the vein and the artery, and then it runs on the near the lower border of the base of the mandible, lower border of the base of the mandible, and here it supplies the muscles. One is the depressor anguli oris, and another is the muscle of the chin, that is the mentalis. So it supplies two muscles. Mentalis and the depressor anguli oris, or the weeping muscle. So this is how the facial nerve branch. The last branch is the cervical branch. Cervical branch comes out of the apex of the parotid gland in the anterior triangle of the neck, and here it supplies a subcutaneous muscle, that is the platysma. So this muscle supplies the platysma muscle. The platysma muscle is the muscle of the anterior and the posterior triangle. After supplying this muscle, the nerve runs in the anterior triangle, and here it communicates with the ascending branch of the transverse cutaneous nerve of the neck. Transverse nerve of the neck, we know, coming from posterior triangle. In the anterior triangle, divided into two branches, ascending branch and descending branch. The ascending branch of the transverse cutaneous nerve of neck anastomoses with the cervical branch of the facial nerve, and after supplying it, it supplies the skin of the anterior triangle. Skin of the anterior triangle up to the sternal notch. So this whole of the skin, starting from the chin downward, is supplied by the facial nerve. So facial nerve is motor, and so it is a mixed nerve. So this is the sensory component. After supplying the all muscles of the face, now it is coming into the neck to supply the skin of the anterior triangle. So this is how you have to make the whole of this. Whenever a question of the extracranial course of the facial nerve comes, then you have to make this diagram. You have to make all the muscles, plus you have to make all the branches of the facial nerve, its course and everything. And last part is the applied anatomy of the facial nerve. So applied anatomy of the facial nerve is the Bell's palsy. Applied means when the facial nerve is damaged or cut due to any reason. So what will happen? If it is a motor branch, so what will happen? Muscle undergo, whenever the nerve supplying any muscle is cut or broken or damaged, what will happen to the muscle? Will it contract? No. So there will be loss of contraction and relax. So it remains relaxed. Then muscle won't work. So muscle is said to be paralysis. So because of the damage to the facial nerve, it leads to the paralysis of the half of the muscles of the face, because there are two nerves and whole of the human body is bilateral symmetrical. What is present on the left, same is on the same. Same artery, same vein, same nerves, everything is here. Even the skull bones are same. So that is called Bell's palsy. So how to attempt the case of, the question may come, the right short note on the Bell's palsy also, directly. Then you start from causes. What are the causes of the Bell's palsy? So number one cause is this is the extracranial course coming from the stylomastoid foramen. Stylomastoid foramen, if you see in the skull, it is very narrow, and the diameter of the stylomastoid foramen is the same as the diameter of the nerve. There is no any space for anything to come around it. So whenever there is a infection of the myelin sheath covering the nerve, which occurs in the herpes zoster infection, herpes zoster. So herpes zoster is a virus which is activated now in these days, rainy days. So cases of the infection of the herpes zoster, they come to the doctors, skin specialist in these days, rainy days. Because in the rainy days, this virus becomes active. It can affect any nerve of the body, human body, sensory or motor. So this nerve affects this virus attacks the myelin sheath of the facial nerve in the stylomastoid foramen. And this leads to the neuritis, again itis, inflammation of nerve in the stylomastoid foramen. So itis means nerve is 4 signs of the itis I told you. Nerve is now which color? Red color. And swell up, hot, and pain. So patient will feel the pain behind the ear, because here lies the mastoid process and stylomastoid foramen. So here nerve is compressed because it is now myelin sheath is swell up, and there is no any space for the increase anything to come, because already nerve is occupying the mastoid foramen. So nerve will be compressed by the sheath which is covering it. It will press upon the nerve fibers because they are around and nerve fibers are inside. So this sheath, the myelin sheath becomes thick, swollen. It can't go beyond this because here is the stylomastoid foramen. So it cannot swell towards the bone. Where it will swell? Inside. And swelling will, what will cause? All the nerve fibers will be compressed. So this is called the compressive neuropathy. So whenever the nerve is compressed due to some tumor or some fractured piece of the bone or anything, it causes the compressive nerve. So it will compress the nerves of the facial nerve. So facial nerve is not a single axon. It may be 20 or 30 small thread like your hair like nerve fibers. So they will be compressed and the conduction will be blocked here. So no conduction, so muscle will be paralyzed. So that is the course. So this is a compressive neuropathy. In the stylomastoid foramen, which is narrow, leading to the neuritis of the myelin sheath covering the facial nerve. That blocks the conduction of the impulses and leading the Bell's palsy. But it is reversible. 85% of the people, they recover after 7 days, 14 days or 21 days. Because any viral infection in the body remains for 7 days, 14 and 21 days. Depending upon how much virus you got. If it is small amount, recovery is within 7 days. If it is slightly more, recovery will be 14 days. And if it is more virus has gone into your body, it will take 21 days. And it will automatically die. No treatment is there in the virus as in the corona also. We are only giving the symptomatic treatment. So same is here. No specific treatment is there. So it is a very painful condition. Patient feel the pain along the distribution of all the 5 nerves which are like the 5 fingers like this. Like the paw of the crow or the rat. So it is 80% is reversible and 20% people remains whole of the year Bell's palsy. That is the problem. Only 20% is irreversible. So that is how to write down the first cause is the herpes. Second cause is your common sense. Now you know the nerve is lying over here. In the roadside accident, there may be fracture of the base of the skull,